Hello, family, and thank you in advance for your attention and love. And to Maisha, my life and love, and Aja, our destined gift from God, much gratitude. And to the Morrow Committee, may God bless you especially for all the work that you have done. I pray today to open doors that our young may begin to question the elders and all those who came before them, that in gratitude they share with the generations to come our truths. Faith is our basic foundation, encouraged by love and proudly standing on the shoulders of those before us. We garner strength from above. Ashe. The root of the entrepreneurial spirit running through our blood from the Armour perspective is much like the history of places like Greenwood, also known as Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Although many of our ancestors didn't attend college for a formalized education, they set out to ensure that we have a future better than the life that they obtained. More than 6 generations ago in the early 20s, the Armours, as many other Black families of the time, migrated from Somerville, Tennessee to Chicago, Illinois. Fannie Cornelia Armour was the first to make that journey, leaving her entire family in her mid-teens after having completed no more than a 5th grade education. She was young and ambitious, only having to look out for herself. Unlike her brother, Clarence, who checked on her consistently. However, he had a young family and maintained a farm with his wife, Josie, in Somerville. It wasn't long before they followed Fannie to Chicago with their family. Clarence and Fannie took care of one another, always. Fannie was known to often say that everything she did was for her family, especially her nieces and nephews, whom she cherished. Our family blessings became intertwined with entrepreneurship during this era on the farm and in the city. Aunt Fannie's first business was a dump truck. She hired our family as crew members to help fill in what is now Lake Shore Drive in Chicago. Later on, she entered real estate. The importance of ownership of land and property was determined generations before our grandparents and proceeded to the north by she and our ancestors, who we would consider to have been trailblazers. In the 1950s, she set the bar, purchasing the Reno Hotel in Chicago near Washington Park. A consistent belief was that all we needed is prayer, good food, rest, and hard work. And so it continued. Aunt Fannie's stick-to-itiveness and courage obviously encouraged many of others in our family, both male and female, to believe that they were privileged and capable to do the same as she. I think her lead also became the reason the Armour men deemed it necessary to refer to us as bossy women. And I know the majority of the women in our family followed her, and we have always felt liberated long before the 60s revolt. Never having a child of her own, I became her goddaughter at my birth in 1950. My parents allowed her to name me, and she chose Connie, which is short for Constance and Cornelia. Throughout my childhood, I was often around her. She always spoke of God and had me read the Bible to her. She always spoke with me and answered my million questions without any frustration. After years of observing and working on many occasions with our great Aunt Fannie, I listened to her stress to each and every one of us. always the importance of an education. She shared her wisdom, knowing how much more she could have done for her family if she had had the opportunity to a formalized education. She was very grateful to the life God granted her and her family and never stopped working hard. One thing I admired most about her is that she never behaves as if she were better, yet she frequently met with paupers and kings with ease. Aunt Fanny set a standard for her lineage when high expectations of herself and encouragement for us to become better than she had been, that we may have more. And education was key. Laziness was not an option. And she had no problem letting you know in her certain terms and verbalizing as best she knew how. She monitored us, each and every one of us, all, for she wished us the best. None of the family members wished to see her Cadillac round the corner and drive up to their house without there being an occasion that we were celebrating. It usually meant someone somewhere needed a talking to, and she took that charge. Yet, of the greatest importance was the representation of the Armour name. They consistently expressed to us all the necessity of unity, us helping and supporting one another, following the good examples both she and her brother, our Papa Clarence, exhibited as they created the family businesses. From the 1920s to the 1960s, Aunt Fanny and Papa Clarence continued to migrate other family members to the North to join them and to work and live in the capacity that best suited them as who they were and their needs. They then acquired property from housing, for housing. Over time, our family business portfolio included much more: transportation, grocery, real estate, both commercial and residential, a hotel, restaurant, poultry markets, and taverns. Many an impact, making an impact in the Black community in the city of Chicago with the name Armour. As more and more families worked in the familiar business, she made sure her people in need had access to medical assistance and life insurance, which was rare protection for Black people during that time. Aunt Fanny went south a few times a year, and I'm told that she created businesses in the midst of her visits. She continued to help family with the slaughter business and selling produce. She always kept up with her peers and loved them dearly. She shared her thoughts and experiences and any assistance that she might be able to provide them. In the early 70s, Aunt Fanny retired back home to Somerville after her heart weakened. This not weakened her entrepreneurial spirit, however. She continued to purchase and run 2 to 3 funeral homes before passing away in the late 90s. I believe the spirit of Aunt Fanny is smiling as the Armour, Lewis, and Morrow families gather today in 2022. The history behind the date of our reunions occurring the first weekend in August in the heat began decades ago. I remember attending the Morrow picnic as a child, being greeted with love, fun, food, and joy at that very same time of the year. As our families continued to grow, the founders of the reunions made provisions for the old and young families to come together biannually. The purpose was to gather together another time to praise God, to reunite and reacquaint ourselves as well as to understand our family, blood, and relations. Each family was to choose, a chairperson, generally the family elder, a historian, a secretary, and trusting treasurer who worked with the planning committee on the year they hosted, including a reception, breakfasts, picnic, semi-formal dinner, and touring the city and church on Sunday. Every family within was expected to pay dues on an annual basis, where we were able to provide and support one another as necessary. The reunions were held between Chicago and Somerville initially, with hosting rotating between families as now. Considering the most elderly was an expectation with no exception. After the dinner, each time, the three founders would meet and close out the event for reports. The family reunion founders recognized our family successes and needs and honored those who were no longer with us. Our foundation is rich, and our elders sacrificed so that we in this generation could be where we are today, 6 generations later. With such brilliant youth and God's protection from evil, may we continue to produce and rise. We come from a rich heritage. And today, I hope history I shared of our ancestors can inspire our current and future generations to remember, as my Uncle Gaston used to say to us, the sky is the limit. Thank you for your ears. I love you all and pray that God bless us each and every one of us. I'm sorry that I was unable to be there today, but I miss the grace of our closeness, but you are always in my heart. Thanks again.